Welcome to the No BS Short-Term Rental Podcast, an unfiltered look into the global vacation and short-term rental industry.
I'm Mateo Bradford.
And I'm John Stokinger.
And this is our podcast. We bring the right people to the table at the right time, giving you an inside view and take on the short-term rental industry like no other podcast can.
Good morning, Mateo. How are you?
Oh, brother, I'm good, man. My wrist is healing up. You know, life's getting better. Yeah, no worries. How are you, man? Fantastic as usual, right?
I am good. I'm busy. I just got back from Streamline Summit. It was a fantastic show. Just great. They always do. Streamline puts on an amazing user conference. It's enlightening. It's and they go all out. You know, I've been to quite a few user conferences. It's up there. If not top dog, it's tied for top dog.
Okay.
On the best user conferences out there. If I was a user of Streamline, I would be enlightened. I would be informed. I'd feel energized. I would feel all those things. It's not just fluff. They dive deep where you want to dive deep to. So just shout out to Streamline and the great conference you guys put on. With that said, we're here, season 3, episode 11.
Yep.
Super stoked. We have an amazing guest.
Yeah.
This guest today, I actually met her dad year 1 in this space, and he's just an awesome dude. And I've gotten to know her more recently with conversations. And I guess without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce Lauren Madewell of Auntie Belham's Cabins of Gatlinburg. Hey, Lauren, how are you?
Good morning, fella. I'm doing good. Happy to be here. I'm excited.
Did I pronounce it correctly? Is it auntie or auntie? Like, I don't know. I'm not from the South. Or I'm not from the Smokey Mountains.
Everybody says it their own way. Auntie Belham's rolls off the tongue for me, but most people in the office will say auntie. I say auntie. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Auntie.
You got my last name right. That's the important part. People pronounce it Madewell.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Madewell?
Wait, hold on. Madewell. They pronounce what?
Madewell. Yes, sir.
So
Complicated.
my name is Mateo, right? And I get when people sometimes Mateo. I feel like yours is. I don't feel like you get a mulligan for yours. Like, I feel like that's pretty. It takes a skill to mess that up.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
But I'm sure that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So that's interesting. Thanks for joining me. Yeah.
I want to get into your story, and we were talking briefly before we hit the record button. I said, "Oh, let's stop, and then we'll go ahead and get this on the podcast." But like, before we get into how, like, I want to know the background to the name, because like there's your auntie doesn't Belham's, and then there's Aunt Bugs or Aunt Bugs in the same community. What is your why the auntie or aunt?
I mean, it's a quip. It's a play on words, like the Auntie Belham period or antebellum period, I think is how you pronounce it. But it was a general store at the time. And Shannon, my dad's cousin, the one who started the cabin rental business, her mom, Patty, actually owned a little like general store, souvenir store, super cute, in a little cabin in between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge Parkways that is right now actually a liquor store. And
I've been there. That's actually where Mateo and I met. And
so John and I met in Pigeon Forge. I was up in Gatlinburg. So just FYI, that's where this whole thing started.
No way.
Oh yeah.
So that
at a conference up there. So
yeah,
that's neat, y'all. Yeah. So do you actually know the liquor store I'm talking about, John?
No, I don't, but I know the drive between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge well. It's like dark and mysterious at night, and it's just a cool road.
It is a cool road, actually. Yeah,
with the river running right through it.
Exactly. Yep. If you leave Gatlinburg and you're heading towards Pigeon Forge, it's on the right, closer to the Gatlinburg side liquor store. If anybody's familiar with the area, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I think I know exactly where that's at." But it was in there kind of running that general store, the Auntie Belham's general store, when she kind of started doing the vacation rentals. And then her mom passed away and it just kind of was all absorbed into the vacation rental company.
So that's awesome.
So it
That's
was familial business. So she owned it. How long? When did she give me a little bit of context in terms of like how long did she, when are we talking about?
Yep.
On this store.
So I call her my Aunt Shannon. It's actually my dad's cousin, but my Aunt Shannon was 25 when she started Auntie Belham's Cabin Rentals, and that was in 1994.
cool.
So we've been around a minute. The only company I know in town that's older than we are, and I could be wrong, this is the only company I know, is Mountain Laurel Chalets with Tom Goodwin.
Yeah.
An awesome dude. They just celebrated their 50 years, so that's awesome.
50 years in the VR space.
Yeah.
Love it.
Which, like, the Smoky Mountains have been like a tourism industry for knocking on 100 years now.
Right.
So 50 years is so incredible. But yeah, she started it up in 1994 with one cabin. It was her cabin, and it was named Afternoon Delight. And so I don't know if you're going to do a two noons, but that's what I'll be.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And she had friends in the area. They got rental properties, put it on her program, and just kind of picked up speed with that. But, about 12 years ago, and this is how my dad got into the business, about 12 years ago, she passed away and left 51% of the business to my dad in the will. And the other 49% was kind of chopped up amongst the family. And he has since bought out the rest. So he's got 100% of the business right now. And he was working in Georgia at the time. I was in school in Georgia at the time for air traffic controlling, actually. And
that's an interesting story too, because I've met your sister who also just got out of doing air traffic controlling, correct?
She did. Yeah.
So that's like you almost like keeping air traffic controlling in the family too, which is totally weird and awesome.
I mean, it's directing traffic at the end of the day, right? Like,
it's logistics.
You think it's logistics? I have so many questions.
So I feel the same exact way. And like, I think that's why I really thrive off the high intensity stuff with property management, is because I was built for the high intensity stuff of the air traffic management. But I never went through with it. My dad started visiting Tennessee a lot and really fell in love with the cabin rental space and the people, and he wanted to see the business continue to succeed. So he left his job and went full time into that. And my sister and I were both on scholarship in Georgia, so my mom had to stay and see us through for that residency. But pretty quickly I realized, because I was working summers at Auntie Belham's, I loved being in the mountains. I loved working with my dad. I loved the people who are still with us. And so I told him, I was like, I don't think I can do this air traffic thing, and I just came and joined him. And with the exception of a small sabbatical of bartending and then doing nothing with my earnings for a year.
Hey, shit,
I've been with Auntie Belham since I graduated college. Yeah.
Wow. Where in Georgia were you?
So it was like 40 minutes south of Atlanta. It's basically Griffin, Georgia is the town.
Actually, random fact. So one of my mom's friends, so my mom lives in Portland, Oregon, and one of her friends actually retired to Griffin, Georgia. And she was like, oh, I heard it's great down there. I'm going to move down. I'm going to think about moving to Griffin. I was like, have you ever been there? Have you ever seen it? It's like the most random place in the world. Like I'm in Atlanta. So it's like, she's been to Atlanta. She's been to Macon. My son goes to college in Columbus. Like so she knows the area, but she like her friend just randomly ended up in Griffin. And she's like, I think I want to move there. I was like, you might want to go visit, make sure it's your speed. But
Get it. And it's kind of like where the farmland begins when you start to leave Atlanta. So but it keeps you close. I kind of get it, but like I was excited to leave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you look like, hey, whatever works, not my job to judge. I just think, again, I know my mom, and for a short Puerto Rican lady that likes to live in the city, not sure that's good, but she loves nature. She lives in Oregon. So she loves being outdoors. She loves, those types of things. Anyways, I digress. So back to, huh? No, she never made it.
Oh,
she went to like visit. She still lives in Portland. Like that's how I broke my wrist. We're moving her last week. She's still in Oregon. So anyway,
I get it.
This is what we do.
Yeah, this is what we do. So tell us about, so you graduated college and you said, no, not for me. Took a sabbatical, had a little bit of drinking, a little bit of not saving money. and a little bit of working, but not saving money. And so then at this time, did you already know after, beforehand that you were going to come, you're just taking a little bit of time off, and then you already had it pretty figured out that you're going to be joining your dad in this family legacy here, or did you just then kind of fall into it and be like, fuck, this is what I'm doing? I mean, I don't know what your mindset was back then.
It was an evolution, and I do need to say I did not lose money. I bartended, so I made a ton of money.
Oh, nice. Well, I didn't know. I get
Save money, John. That was the thing.
save money.
Save money to take that year off and do my first like backpacking trip in Europe, and then just time off to like figure out my life and do my hobbies and do anything I was passionate about and figure out, do I want to go back to Auntie Belham's, or do I want to spread my wings and do my own thing? And my dad was completely supportive of whatever I wanted to do. But I was a little aimless. I was a little lost. I did not know what to do with myself. But luckily I woke up one morning and my subconscious like grabbed me by the shoulders. And it was like, your family owns an incredible business in the beautiful Smoky Mountains. You love working with your dad. You love everybody who works there. What are you doing? Ask him for a job back. And so I did, saying, I'll never leave again if you take me back. And, I I thought he would be like, well, let me think about it. But he's like, please be my succession plan. Come on. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. And in those of you that, I mean, most everyone that's listening knows this, but the Smoky Mountains is like the #1 drive-to destination in the country.
Yeah.
It will beat out Destin. It will be like, there's no other place in the world. And I'm sure you know the stats off the tip of your tongue. There's no other place that draws from so many different cities and within a 5-6 hour driving range, other than Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, that area, Sevier County, Tennessee. It's insane. And if you've never been, what I describe it as is it's kind of like, think of a boardwalk, think of Myrtle Beach in the middle of the most beautiful place you've ever been. Like, it's like a combination of two different worlds. It's like a national forest, like amazing hiking, and then moonshine and debauchery in the middle of like, it's weird and amazing all at the same time. It's like, it's very unique. And please tell me if you look at it differently because you live there. But it's a little bit of everything. Like Mateo and I, and we said this a lot, we've seen some shit when we were in Gatlinburg. Oh my, you're like, what? Like fist fights and guys with overalls and like bears and all, and like it's been insane.
Overalls, no shirt, no teeth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's those men who helped build this tourism industry. It's them hillbillies.
100%.
But I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there's an authenticity to that area. There's a mystique to the area. I mean, just the fact of that. I mean, it's almost magical, right? Like with the fog and the way that everything that happens in that area, it's everything you think it is, and then it surprises you because it's so much more, right? Like at the end of the day, too. Like that night, I did see a bear stalking garbage cans in the street. I will not say if I shook my leg a little bit, but I definitely hightailed it to where I needed to go and was not interested in seeing any more of those things outside of a caged area.
You guys nailed it though. Like seriously, this is such a weird, wonderful, magic area. I think about it every single day. I get to take a back road and see pastures and rolling hills and mountains and cows and buffalo and beauty, or I can take the parkway and see, King Kong hanging off of a mock Eiffel Tower. I can see like the Titanic.
The Ripley stuff and like the
right.
The moonshineries. It's batshit over here, and I love it. And I'm just trying to take it all in. I hope to maybe like write a book about it one day. And then recently I've come into like the third element, which is the history of the place. Yeah. And so I've been buying up books about the history of the Smoky Mountains, how, settlers got here, how the tourism started, where it all came from. It's so cool. So now there's 3 elements for me, and there's still so many of the old names. Like you can read in the book, the Ogles, the Reagans, you can read these old historical names of the families that have been here for like 2 centuries. And then you can reach out and touch their family businesses,
Right.
go in the Glades Arts and Crafts District and go to the Ogles like woodworking store and the broom making store. And I've started going and just having conversations with them. I'm so afraid that, with property being brought up and all sorts of new businesses cropping up the road, it's going to raise their property value and they might sell one day because they don't realize, like, they do and they don't realize how special they are and their name is. And like in my conversations with them, they are so in it, they're so ingrained in the history of this place. They don't like hardly know their own history. And I was talking to one of the Ogles in their little store, and they've been there for a few decades. And I'm just trying to pick their brain because I'm reading about their relatives. They don't know anything. And I thought that was so fascinating. And they're not quite understanding how special they are. And like I said, if it raises their property value and they think, oh, we could have a great nest egg for the kids, maybe we can set up shop somewhere else. Like, I'm so worried about the historical aspect of this community going away, which is part of what makes us so special. And the stuff that's moving in is kind of all just a mockery of it.
Well, and
Well, do the guests care? Like, do you do like educational stuff for the guests, for your guests, because I think that's fascinating. Like, I would love to know those types of things, right? Like, I'd love to know the historical businesses that are in there, the people that have been around forever. Like, I think the industry, could help preserve some of that, right? Like, if you build it into the culture of the people, of the tourism. And the people that are traveling there. So, like, do you do anything special to kind of ingrain that into the guest experience?
I am actively working on it. And I'm so happy to hear you say that you would find that fascinating too. So yeah, I'm
100%.
I'm
100%. Me
working
too.
it out.
Like, that's
Cool.
that's the shit that, like, my family, like, that we're like, when I go, I want to learn about it. And it's not everyone. I think that, and to go back to, I don't want to pause. Like, I want you to answer Mateo's question, but like, there are two type of travelers. There's that go to, I think I could see two, maybe three, but two types of travelers that go to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountains. There's the one that actually care about that, and the ones that just want to go get wasted. And those are your two types of travelers, and they're both very prevalent. And at night there's more of the other one when you're out and about. But like for me, and if my family were to go 100%, like, let's learn about the history. Let's just dive in and soak it all up this knowledge, because that's, to me, that's why I travel.
Yeah.
But being a drive-to location that's easy for a lot of people to get to, that's why you have two different draws to your location.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your question. I apologize.
Oh gosh, no, this is all good for me to hear. Because I do want to educate the people. I'm drafting up something that I could potentially put into print. And I thought, oh, I could just, put this in a few pages and maybe put it in a binder and put it up at the cabins. But I'm quickly realizing, like, this might be best served if I do like some sort of self-publishing. So, like a coffee table book, where I'm writing my experience with the history and interacting with the history and giving them places that they should go to see the old families and their stores and all the old spots and the old architecture that's still here, the cabins and stuff. So I am working on like a coffee table book. I'm also considering ways to put it into videos, so that people can kind of, I don't know if I can do it in 60 seconds or less, like my video I posted today said, some people prefer to watch their information and not read
Right.
it. So I'm trying to figure out ways to put it into videos, which I think would be easy. And that way I can kind of show where I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. And then creating some sort of a digital book about it all as well. And maybe make a QR code of it, put it on the fridge with a magnet or something. I don't know. But yes, I absolutely want to educate the guests. I know they'd love to know. People like to contribute to the area and be a part of the history of the area, and so now when they go out and drink moonshine, they can feel like they're taking part in history.
Well, I love that. And the interesting thing with that too, is that using a digital guidebooks, like in basically a mixed media type of thing, like a mixed media coffee table book. It could almost be like a guest experience tour where, hey, if you're to spend a day hitting these 5-6 different things, you drive here, tell me exactly how to get there. they go, they learn about this place. You already pre-worked out a discount for a trinket or something at the Ogles or something, and say, hey, I'm going to drive people to your location. Now they're invested in this as well, and so it kind of brings your community together in a tighter knit, fashion, which is the whole point for doing this, to not forget the history of the Smoky Mountains and, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area.
You nailed it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I have truly just been focusing on the word community here the past few weeks. Just what does that mean to me? What can I do for my community? Making sure I'm not leaving my community behind as our industry picks up and gains momentum. And yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to hear you guys get excited about it. I am. I'm loving it. I'm loving writing this stuff out.
That's cool.
So that brings me to, John said, when we talk about that area, he mentioned something that is, to me, I don't know how to say this without it sounding like wrong, but so I'm just going to say it the way I think.
Okay.
I feel like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area is an accessible vacation place, right? A vacation destination, regardless of your socioeconomic background. Like, there's something for you within that space. Knowing that and all of the exciting things that you are doing, what's your idea for the kind of the future? Like, what are you excited about, for the next generation, or the generation now and the next generation of families and people who are coming to your area to whatever their vacation needs may be, or whatever their vacation may be? What do you envision the future of that experience being from your vantage point?
Oh my gosh. That's a huge question. A huge question. Well, I would say that like the area is well known for all the attractions and the gimmicks and stuff like that, but more and more companies are coming into town and building and creating outdoor experiences to make sure that the people are keeping the mountains and views and in view. And there's mountain biking now. There's more horseback riding than ever. There's like ATV riding, more zip lining, outdoor obstacle courses. There's more camping spots than ever. And, yurts are popping up and teepees are popping up. And, I'm not really interested in buying a cabin myself, but I would absolutely buy a yurt or a camping something. But just like I'm excited for more outdoor activity. One of the things that like the gimmicks are fun and they draw people in, and we get free through Explory. We get free tickets to a lot of these places. But
Shout out to Matt Loney and team at Explory.
Yeah, love them. But I'm excited for people to spend more time outside, enjoying the Smoky Mountains, enjoying the very reason that we are here. And I think by proxy, that can help preserve some of the land that is quickly being bought up and
For development.
Yeah.
That's I like that. I like that answer, because that's super interesting too, because like it's almost like the VR, the vacation rental, short-term rental movement is big, it's huge, it's strong, and it has been for a long time, and it's not going anywhere. It's actually expanding, it's growing. There's a lot of outside investment coming to the area, and if you could preserve some of this land for the natural beauty that it is, for guests to actually use it and explore it. Like you guys, I think overall, don't you have like one of these amazing new skywalk, like super high, like, which I want to go next time I go, that's on top of my list to go do. You're right. Like you can't go put another condo complex or another hotel there. And, I think Mateo hit it with the accessible is the right choice of words, because you have, cabins that sleep 20 that are rent for $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 a night. But you also have, condotels and hotels that are, you can come in and you can get a $7, $9 a night room in certain parts of Gatlinburg and or up in Sevierville or whatever. In the overall county, there's so much. I mean, shoot, you guys have Dolly Parton, like Dollywood is there. Like you have like these pretty amazing draws. But if you could preserve the outdoor stuff as well, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's important, and it's getting more and more important. And people within our community, I don't know, I feel at some point something's going to need to be done about it. So I'm trying to figure out ways to just get more involved with the community. Started to go to more chamber events, meet people that way. I'll work my way in, but something about the area needs to be protected and preserved at one point.
Well, tell us more about that. Like, what do you see is like what's fucked up with the mindset of your community right now? In your opinion, like who do you need to shake? Like, what mindset do you need to shake out of people? Like, I'm curious to know. Like I know we know where you'd like to see the community, but like, what's stopping that progress from coming? Like what do you need to do to affect the minds to change it differently?
Man, that's a big question too, and something that I kind of meditate on every single day. I would say luxury is spoiling the area a little bit. Like, you were asking, I'm trying to go circle here. What we are excited about with the future for our company. One of the things I'm excited about is we're going to stay affordable. Like, we're not trying to scale too quickly. We're not specifically targeting luxury units. We're not even trying to bring our current units up to like any sort of luxury status. We want the affordable properties so that we can continue to offer vacations to middle and lower middle class America, which has always been our bread and butter and my favorite clientele. And we just want to stay affordable for everybody. And let's see here. The big luxury units, homeowners worrying about keeping up with the luxury units, all the I don't know, the various attractions and stuff getting more expensive, harder for the little families with multiple kids to afford.
Right.
I am,
Well, it's interesting you say that, and I could see that being like when you think of gentrification, you think of cities, you think of urban areas, you think
yeah,
of like what that is doing. But in a sense, this is the same thing. You throw a shit ton of money in an investment, and you're building these, purpose built properties, which are these amazing overlooks, and there's these huge. They're not even cabins; they're mansions that look like cabins, and they're the luxury, and they're bringing in that clientele, and they're seeing an ROI on it, right? Like, it's proven. It's like it's not like it's not as from a business standpoint, it makes sense.
Yep.
But what is that doing to the fabric of this community? What is it doing to overall, to not only to the community that you are, but the guests you're drawing in? And I can see that being a real hard to navigate.
Yeah, it's sticky. It's, the the bigger and nicer your cabin is, absolutely the more money you're making on it. So for the people out there building these properties and investing in them, good for you. You're doing the American dream, like, good for you. And those luxury properties are bringing in people from the rest of the country who may not have known about the Smoky Mountains before, or, there wasn't a property big enough for what they had in mind. So those luxury properties are bringing more and more people to the area, which is a wonderful thing. But yeah, it's sticky because to a degree, it spoils something about the area. And, like, I love having log cabins on the program, wooden homes, log cabins on the program, because there's history to that too. That's what was being built here when the settlers were here.
Right.
They were chopping down those trees and building their homes, and those are the original settlements and properties of the area. So when you're staying in a cabin, it's not just cute; it's like a part of history. And these luxury homes are mansions, and you could see them, in any state and city. And yeah, there's two sides to every coin. But I would say, yeah, if anything was kind of making me nervous, it would be luxury in the area.
So it's just, I think this is a dilemma that goes again. Our vacation communities are just a reflection of our broader society, right? In a lot of different levels, right? And I think one of the things I love hearing you talk about is like the part of being involved, right? And letting your local community kind of define what and who you guys are, right? In that space, and understanding, the nature of the special place that you are, the broad reaching, because again, like, if you focus on luxury, then you're going to limit yourself. The more you have a diverse economic base in which, has luxury, but also has, which I'm sure if you run the data from the numbers, the majority of the people that come through that area are not wealthy, right? Like, or not people, their families that, this is their vacation. They hop in the car, it's that experience, all the kids fighting in the back and, driving from Indiana, wherever they're coming from to come have this experience in those cabins, right? In that place, because that's the mystique of the area. And I think local communities sometimes forget that they do have that control and get to kind of define who and what they are if they put themselves in positions to. Because it's easy to lose that power if you sell it out for money or whatever to developers and others who want to make it what they want to make it. I think, keeping local control is important, but also understanding balance, right? And understanding, kind of who you want to be and what you want your narrative to be, and what you're doing today, how that will change, your community. And I know sometimes those impacts are far reaching and down the line, but I think the key word is deliberate, right? You want to deliberately do these things with the intent that you want.
Yep.
And, this is not just a severe veil pigeon forcing. I think that's a question that a lot of our communities are going to be asking themselves, because we know luxury pays. Awesome. But when you look at the broader numbers of who can afford luxury and who's going on vacation, I think it's a question to be had. So, but kudos to you for wanting to maintain that and being willing to do the work to make sure that it's sustained.
Oh yeah, I am willing, and I'm excited for the future, my future, company's future, community's future, industries, area, everybody. I'm very excited about it. It is all about balance, and that's what I'm careful with. I don't ever want to leave one thing behind in pursuit of the other. And we really try to maintain an old school vibe. You were talking about putting the kids in the car and the kids arguing and pushing each other and driving, like, coming to their old school cabin. Like, we're all about that. And as far as like branding and swag and merchandise, we try to keep things vintage and old school. We're trying to stay attached to the history of the place for sure.
Let's talk about the resilience of your community too. Let's talk about, and I can't remember the first time, and we mentioned this a lot, that Mateo met was in Gatlinburg, and it was right after the forest fire. And it was, literally like a few weeks. There were still some roads that had, trees down over it where we had to go around. Like that was. So what was that in 2018 or 2017?
2018.
Okay, so that was the first time that we had been together. And and for those that are listening that, that don't know the devastation that came through and just ravaged the community, it was insane. And do you know the numbers, like how many cabins were lost? It was like thousands and thousands of cabins and homes are lost and lives are lost in fire. Like, it was insane. And to be there just a few weeks later, because Amy Hino, shout out to Amy Hino at VR Mintel, still went forward with the little conference there in Gatlinburg. And it was like, and we actually had I think the community firefighters and stuff that were presenting, talking about these numbers, and it was heart-wrenching. But to see how, as a community, you came together and you focused on the important things, and you rebuilt in a way that was, it made sense for what the community, you didn't reinvent your, a lot of communities be like, oh, we can go ahead and reinvent now because or we have to reinvent because we're, this totally devastated our community. Now we're just going to come in and we're going to do this quickly. So, cause we want to get as many people back here as possible. And overall, as a community, you guys did it thoughtfully and methodically, and you opened up as quickly. The fact that we're open for business as soon as you possibly could, because that this is where the money comes. This is how you put food on the table. This is, for everyone, the majority, you're a tourist town.
Yep.
Overall, you didn't start off that way, but now this is what you are. This is how that's a community you thrive. And it was heart-wrenching and heartwarming all at the same time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the resiliency community a little bit? I know I just went on this insane monologue. I apologize.
I love how passionate you are about our area, man. Um, it was something to behold, that is for sure. Nobody skipped a beat. There was not a moment where any part of the community was down on themselves or woe is me. And nobody skipped a beat. Everybody was there for everybody else. The people who, you know, lost their homes in the fire was there where they were there for the other people who lost their homes in the fire. People from around the country flooded into the area for volunteer work to help at the shelters, build up shelters. So many resources poured into the area to the point where one of the shelters that my mom was working at, like, they had to start turning away resources because they had such an abundance of it. And I think there are still like storage areas where there's still those water bottles and various things still there, clothes, toothpaste, all that stuff is still being stored up, which is great because, you know, another fire recently came
Right.
through in April. And the response was so quick. They had like a cell phone alert system this time, keeping us up to date almost hourly about the direction of the fire and what it was doing, where it was going, where we should be evacuating our guests. It was incredible. And they built that as a response to these 2018 fires. But, you know, the kind of the slogan that went around during that time was Smoky Strong.
Yeah.
And that's so true. And I feel like that was true Southern hospitality. Like, we didn't skip a beat. Everybody took care of everybody. There was so much love and comfort being given so freely. Like, that was the Southern hospitality of the area, and very Southern. Like, we didn't reinvent anything. Let's just build back better. And it was scary. Honestly, it's hard to even put myself in that mindset to think about again. But it was incredible. It was a thing. It was a thing to behold, like I said. And you know, it's hard to say this, but one of the blessings was that this fire happened like a week after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So we almost had nobody in house.
Right.
If that had happened 1 week earlier, yeah, it's scary to even think about.
Yeah. So this happened like right at the end of November, right? Or you said what, a week after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's
So for first week in December, I think, because we were there in February. So it was like 2 months after. Not a couple weeks, 2 months after we were there in February. So we still saw, and we still like in the stories that I heard going around and talking to property managers, and it was just even like still after the fact, and like there's some pretty heroic stories I heard too of people going and say people driving over and moving burning logs out of the road to, you know, like, I'm like, holy shit, like, wow. But you know, we don't have to, I want to make sure before we get out of here that, and we still have a little bit of time. I want to talk about, Auntie Belhams. I want to talk about where you're going. You know, if those of you are listening are not aware, there's a gazillion options when you're going to the Smoky Mountains, where you could stay. You know, this again, the second you've been there, the second longest tenure of property management companies that are offering short-term rentals, which is fantastic. Great people. But what's a differentiator? I know there's many, but what stands you apart from your competition? If those are watching, you see I'm doing air quotes because, you know, it's a family. We all
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
But what are your differentiators? I mean, my guess, looking at what you do, is your focus on the guest experience. That's a huge part of your differentiator. But like, what else? And dive into guest experience stuff.
Yep. Well, you know, our biggest strength is that we are family owned and operated. There is no board of directors I have to report to. Like, my dad and I don't have some boss that we have to report to or get permission. We can do absolutely anything. If I'm realizing a pattern of complaints operationally, I can fix it like this, however I need to. If I'm recognizing a pattern of preference, I can accommodate. Like, we can just do anything. Like that video I posted, send it off to my guests on their check-in day. Like, I can do that. I can make it however I want it, brand it however I want. Dad, you good with this? Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I'm good with that. I can, I'm working with a graphic designer right now to the thought is creating some adorable chipmunk logo, to just throw on merchandise. Like I can do that. I can change systems, processes, people. Just being family owned and operated, we only report to ourselves. We take care of ourselves. There's no investors, no foreign interests, no nothing. I think that's our strength. That's what we're going to capitalize on. So where do we go from here? Anywhere I want to go. Anything we think up. If anybody in the office has a good idea, we can put it into action. We can be exactly who we want to be, what we want to be.
It seems like you also like, because when you said that, look, my dad got 51% of the company and the rest of the family got 49. I envisioned like this big mafia table where like everyone's sitting around the table, kind of like making decisions on like how to run the business moving forward. I think it's pretty gangster. Your dad got the remaining shares and that you guys are operating it moving forward. Cause I was like, it's like, wow, how's that gonna work? Like,
was John blindsided by that? What was it like, did he have any, like, was he like, hey man, someday I'd love to, be a part of what you're doing? Or was it just like, okay, we're reading the will. It's like, oh shit, looks like we own a vacation rental company.
Yes, it was that. Complete mindset.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He had no idea. He called me. I remember like I was leaving a class and he told me the sad news of her passing. And then like was it a few hours later? I don't know. And the next thing I know, he's telling me like, hey, she left 51% of her business to me. I was excited immediately. Like, I was like, you mean we can move to the mountains now? Like cause I was close with her. I thought about working with her in high school and stuff. And I'd visited her. I thought about working with her. I knew I loved the area. And she just, God bless her, man. She just set my family up for success. And that 51% was 100% trust in my dad. She knew he would take care of her people, take care of the business, potentially
Care of the legacy
to new heights. That's absolutely right. And he has done wonders with it. And anybody here will tell you, I'm so impressed with him all the time. I'm lucky I get to learn from him and work with him. And I'm so grateful for her every single day. I mean, we all think about her every single day. She really created something wonderful and gave my family a new, beautiful life. We're all here now. Our, other family, they come to visit all the time because they love the area. We've got cabins we can put them up in. My family bought an extra big house so that we could, it's just been wonderful in keeping the family together, but blindsided completely.
And speaking of family, recently, and tell me how this is working. I got to know Mallory. I'm saying that right? I'm not murdering her name.
It's Mallory.
Lori?
No, I'm kidding, John.
I'm like, holy shit. I love that's great, by the way. So she was at Darm and we were chatting ahead of time for some business stuff anyway. So we've been on some calls ahead of time, but that's a more recent addition into the fold because as we talked about earlier, she went to air traffic control school as well. And she was an actual air traffic controller for a time. But now she's joined the family business, and she's day to day with you as well, correct?
Oh yeah, we are side by side, and I am so happy to have her. We think exactly alike. I don't always have to finish my sentences with her. She's one step ahead of me when I need her to be, or motivating me and encourage me in my pursuits when I need her to be. She's more of a numbers person, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I don't love diving into the data and numbers. So she kind of serves it to me on a nice platter and then I can run with it creatively, whatever that means. We make quite the team and I am pumped for it.
I'm so mad at you for just fucking with me and saying Mallory.
You deserve that. You absolutely 100% deserve that, Sean.
I get it. Touche. That was good. We're super pumped for you. I'm excited for where you're going. We absolutely we'll always have a connection, Teo and I, to Gatlinburg, and just to the Smokies, just because that's kind of where that's where this podcast started. Was us just having conversations, being like, wow, this is an amazing industry, and what the fuck, and all these different things. And it was great. It's great to talk with you. And like, I'm going to be excited for the next time we're down there, which I don't know when, but it'll be sometime soon, I'm sure. And congrats. What's that?
I said, I want to put you guys up. Come back.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely come up, and I will be. John already knows I'm gonna be ringing your bell about At Ease, our platform. So I'll talk to you about that offline. So definitely be coming up that way. I love it up there. I think it's beautiful. I think it's interesting. Not coming. I grew up on the West Coast. I'm a West Coast kid. I grew up between Oregon and California. I love being outdoors. It's different. It's very different out there, and it's a different world, but it's also a very welcoming world. Like I've never felt like I didn't belong out there. I never felt like I can't be at peace out there. I would love to vacation and go there, sit on that deck, look at those mountains, be in that fog.
It doesn't get old. It doesn't get old.
Does not get old.
I mean, again, and for those who have not been there, I think it's at Swiss. There is a ski.
The Alpine Lodge.
There's a ski resort in the middle of Gatlinburg that it's like Swiss themed, and it's just
It's a little more like ice skating, but
yeah, it's a little bit everything.
Go down that mountain though. It's an experience. It's fun. I love going up there.
And they do Oktoberfest. That'll be happening soon. They get good beer and the lederhosen, and I've got lederhosen.
Of course.
Yeah, we gotta. So I'm going to say this now because then that's going to make us happy. We have to go back to Pigeon Forge and actually do an episode from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The story,
absolutely.
And just stay in the market. Yeah. See, there you go.
There you go. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. There'll be a link to Auntie Belham's on the website. If you're liking this podcast and you haven't given us a like and you haven't given us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and written out a review, please do so. It helps us out exponentially. Like you have no idea. And until next time,
on YouTube,
hit
the notification button. Yep.
Thank you so much. And Lauren, we appreciate you.
This has been great. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys so much. And because I surprised myself, I can't believe I didn't drop an F-bomb. I'm just going to say, fucking love you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. I'll make up for it.
This podcast is a Hospitality.fm production.